This offseason has been pretty chaotic over the last few weeks between the NBA draft going down, free agency opening up, and trade season officially kicking into gear. And after so many unexpected moves being made, things seem to be calming down a bit now. Do not be fooled though, because the excitement is far from over this summer. Behind the scenes, there are still quite a few teams with major questions that need answering, and the solutions will more than likely result in a blockbuster trade going down, which brings us to today's video. Today we'll be discussing 5 star players that I believe will still end up getting traded before the start of next season for a wide variety of reasons. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoyed the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first star player we'll be discussing today that will still be traded by the end of the offseason is Lauri Markin of the Utah Jazz. Markkinen's seen his name in trade rumors for a while now, and even though this offseason those murmurs have quieted down a bit, I don't think we should be ignoring all of the writing on the wall. Every move the Jazz have made this offseason indicate that they are bunkering down for another full-on year of tanking, because they see the upcoming draft for the 2026 class as having 3 absolute studs at the top, and they're probably going to do everything in their power to maybe keep AJ Debonsa, who is going to BYU this season, in the state of Utah. The Jazz also just drafted Ace Bailey, who plays the same position as Lauri Markinen and is coming in looking to get a lot of shots up, so that's becoming a lot tougher when your best player is ahead of you on the depth chart. The Ace Bailey saga has already had enough drama, so imagining a world where his minutes are affected by a veteran would only add more fuel to the fire. Markinen is 28 years old, in the prime of his career, making good money on a long-term contract, and none of that really matches the timeline that the Jazz are on right now. The Jazz also have an incredibly crowded front court, so developing the young talent they already have is going to be tough enough as is, so everything is pointing towards Markinen being traded and it making the most sense. The Jazz first round pick next year is also top 8 protected, otherwise it goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder, so trading away a player that may contribute to winning more games than necessary like Markinen is even more helpful to the cause in the long run, and any team willing to offer a solid piece or two, along with maybe a couple of first round picks, should be able to get the attention of Utah's front office. The next star player that should still end up getting traded by the end of the offseason is Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. Everyone may be tired of the will he, won't he conversation surrounding Giannis and his impending future with the Bucks, but there's a long summer still ahead, and as we've seen in prior summers, it can take a while sometimes for these things to play out. The Bucks have made it past the first round of the playoffs just once since winning the championship in 2021, and have been eliminated in the first round of the playoffs in each of the last 3 years. So for a guy like Giannis, who just turned 30 and is still as antsy as ever to compete for championships, he has to be well aware of the reality of his current situation. The team traded for Damian Lillard specifically to try to get themselves back to the top, and now they're paying him over $20 million per year for the next 5 years to not play another game for them. They signed Miles Turner away from the Pacers, but he is just not enough of a difference maker to save the sinking ship that the team is, and under the coaching of Doc Rivers, it's very difficult to ever buy into this team at overachieving based on his track record as a coach from the last 15 years. I fully expect Giannis's trade request to happen at some point this summer, and when it happens, the entire league will be lining up to place a bid in the sweepstakes. He's still an MVP caliber guy on both ends of the floor, coming off of a season where he averaged 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, and the kind of haul that the Bucks would be able to receive in a trade for him would genuinely save their future, because at the moment, they've lost a lot of the first round picks over the next few years that they used to own as a result of putting this disastrous team together. The next star player that will still end up being traded at some point this summer is DeMar DeRozan of the Sacramento Kings. The Kings are in a weird spot right now and are hesitantly trying to figure out where to go from here. In the short term, they insist that they are still trying to build the best team possible around Domantas Sabonis, so with that being the case, they've also been one of the teams most heavily linked to the trade market and have thrown their names into the ring for a few big-name players. They've made calls for guys like Kevin Durant before his Houston trade came about. They now seem to be the team most heavily linked to trying to acquire Jonathan Kuminga from the Warriors, and with all of that being said, DeRozan is easily the most expendable player on this team overall. A reporter from the Sacramento Bee also reported last month that the team was still expected to explore trades for DeRozan this summer, so just because those talks have quieted down over the last few weeks doesn't mean they won't pick up over the next few months. Obviously, DeRozan's nearing the end of his career, with him now being 36 years old, and he's not quite as good as he once was, but he is still coming off of a season where he put up about 22 points per game and shot the ball 48% from the field, so there should still be appeal in his ability to provide shot creation in half-court settings from any team that struggles when the game slows down. The Kings have way too many cooks in the kitchen and need to focus more on roster building over big names that all play with a score-first mindset, and they have a lot of those in their lineup right now, so it makes sense to try to get younger and focus more on fit. The next star player that we believe will still end up getting traded this summer is LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, I am a buyer into the rumors going around that LeBron may be on his way out of LA. LeBron may have picked up his player option for next year with the Lakers, but his agent Rich Paul almost immediately followed that move up by releasing a statement saying that LeBron wants to compete for a championship, and he said that he knows the Lakers are building for the future, and they want to evaluate what is best for LeBron at this stage in his life and career. They're not even trying to hide it. The entire team around LeBron is actively considering their options, and a trade is very much on the table. The Lakers went out and acquired Luka Doncic last season, giving the team an elite pillar to build around moving forward, but in the present, the team has some work to do. They brought in DeAndre Ayton to address their need at center, but after the last few seasons of uninspiring effort and a bad attitude from Ayton, I would not put a whole lot of stock in his ability to save the Lakers. With LeBron being 40 years old and on a large expiring contract, it realistically wouldn't cost nearly as much as you may think to trade for him due to the Lakers' lack of leverage, so if any team is able to offer a few pieces, whether it be draft picks, quality defenders, or 3-and-D guys to play next to Luka Doncic, and it comes from a team capable of competing in the short term, then I think the Lakers would consider it. A player of LeBron's stature rarely gets traded for a reason, but at his age, and his goals being where they are, and with the limited time he has left, he could end up providing a team with an incredible rental opportunity to go all in this season. And finally, the last star player that we believe will still end up traded this offseason is Dejounte Murray of the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans need a lot of changes to get themselves back on track, and based on how they have been moving so far this offseason, combined with what Murray himself has been saying, this seems like the surest of all sure things. Murray was traded to New Orleans last offseason, but this last year has been nothing short of an unfortunate disaster, and everything that could have gone wrong both for him individually and the team did go wrong. He struggled with injuries all season long, the team had one of the worst records in the league, and Murray has even come out and discussed some jarring behind-the-scenes info on a podcast recently. On the show, he opened up about how he has hated his time in New Orleans so far because he's apparently not getting the support from the organization that he needs, and I'm not sure what the reasoning could possibly be for the team to treat him like that, but what I do know is that when a player comes out and publicly bashes their team like that, it typically results in that player getting traded. Throw in the fact that the Pelicans just traded for Jordan Poole, and they drafted Jeremiah Fears with the 7th pick, seemingly to replace him, and we have a lot of signs pointing towards one thing. He may not be coming off of a very good season at all, shooting it poorly and struggling to stay healthy, but if the environment around him was as toxic as he says it was, then a change of scenery would be worth taking a swing on, especially in today's market where there are a lot of teams in need of help at the point guard position. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below where you think these players could get traded to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.